Back in April, Monolith announced it was removing the loot boxes from Middle-earth Shadow of War due to the fact they admitted that a thing designed to undermine the Nemesis system to make more money might be undermining the Nemesis system. The Nemesis system, of course, being the way in which players encounter, recruit, make enemies of the game's orcs, a fantastic feature in Shadow of Mordor, turned into a cynical money-making scheme in Shadow of War, where the orcs stopped being interesting, evocative characters and just became loot drops to be gambled for. That was back in April. Today in July, a patch has gone in completely removing the market and all of the microtransactions from Middle-earth Shadow of War and added improvements to the game which are required because the microtransactions impacted the game's design, like they always do. It's valuable to point out, of course, that before Shadow of War released, the developers, the spokespeople, were justifying the microtransactions and loot boxes as a matter of player choice and giving people options, and here we are months after release and they're touting this as a great feature, something to celebrate, the removal of what they once called options and choice. The hypocrisy is laid bare, but the presentation is, as always, given to us in a way that expects us to express gratitude. Now, anyone who can follow a logical thought process knows that the gameplay in Shadow of War was impacted by the microtransactions, just comparing the gameplay to Shadow of Mordor. But Shadow of War is the gift that keeps on giving for those looking for the proof that this sort of monetization does impact the game, and despite their talking about player choice, you don't actually have a choice as to whether your game will be fucked up by a monetization model. It is no coincidence at all that the removal of the microtransactions has facilitated a patch with a number of updates to the game itself to make up for the fact that you now can't buy your way to success, and they don't have to psychologically pummel you into buying your way to success by making a free game. I say a free game, you paid at least $60 for it, but for the purposes of this, a free game, a sluggish, grindy pain in the arse to play. Orcs will be housed in your garrison. If you get them on online vendettas or rank conquests, you'll have to spend Mirian, which was the in-game currency, not the premium bullshit. You spend Mirian to give them training, upgrades, customization features, stuff like that. The level cap has been upgraded to level 80, and enemies now can go up to level 85. Nemesis XP has been given a boost. There are more legendary level orcs, more ways to get training orders, and followers can give you stuff now. Hooray, that's Wizard-Boffo news. There are some other changes and masks you can wear now that give you abilities and skins, but the Shadow Wars section, which was just a rubbish post-game in the original version, has now been called the Epilogue, and it's got new narration from Shelob, the Witch King, and Dark Talion. Ooh. They've also reduced the amount of stuff you have to do to progress in the Epilogue because, well, Shadow Wars was grindy, repetitive shite. In all due fairness, they've done a lot. The patch notes are mighty. It's just a huge block of text with all of the updates and changes and a whole bunch of fixes as well. But it's hard not to see the cynicism in this, because this is the AAA game industry and cynicism is all there bloody is. Say what you will about Electronic Arts, and I actively encourage you saying the worst things you can imagine, but when the microtransactions were a problem in Star Wars Battlefront 2, they did react to the pressure immediately and take them away. Now, I'm not saying that wasn't cynical as well. They wanted good press. They didn't want to upset Disney. But even so, I think it's especially telling that we're getting these updates here in July. Months and months and months out from launch week of course being the time where you make your most sales, so this just looks like something to nab those who didn't want to buy it because of the microtransactions now that they've made as much money as they possibly could from the microtransactions. Of course, you got to feel bad for the people who were grinding through Shadow Wars and have now responded to the patch updates by saying that their progress was reset. Oh. Whether this is too little too late for the market at large remains to be seen. I will say it's tempting to re-download it and have another look, but, you know, I'm playing Octopath Traveler right now. That's got most of my time on lockdown. So I don't know if I've got time to look into a game that should have been improved to this level last year. For those who were still playing it though, and were unwilling to buy into the loot box system and the microtransactions that were just seeping into this fucking game, good news for them. Thumbs up, Wizard-Boffo.